Hi there. It's Lynn again from Devine Central. I am here with video number 8. This time we're talking about specifically where to find non-metaphysical events or non-psychic events to read at. Now, I spoke in an earlier video about non-metaphysical events like craft shows, Sunday markets, flea markets, bazaars. And if you're a tarot reader, why would you want to read at a non-metaphysical event at all? I mean, you might not, but it will impact most readers don't, which, by the way, is just better for me because that means I'm the only one there and I don't have any competition. So I typically sign up for these during the psychic fair off seasons, when there's less to keep me busy. Now, by that, I mean psychic fairs and holistic events seem to have two off seasons. So they actually operate more in late fall into early winter, and they stop just before the holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then they pick up again in the really early spring, and they'll run until early summer, which is right about the time school gets out and the children are out of school, and then people get busy and they go on vacation and do things. So they're just not usually there. First off, let me say that non-metaphysical events are attended by the general public. And so for many of them, this is their very first foray into having a reading. And, you're there, they're there. They've always thought about it. And so why not? It's an impulse buy for them. So this is a great place for new people, new readers, because there's like almost no expectation for the reading because they've never had one. They don't know what to expect. So it's just a great place to hone your chops and get rid of the heebie-jeebies and get used to reading in public. I consider these events to be ambassador events. Again, you have to be mindful that these people have never had a reading before. So you are going to be their first experience. And I take that as, it's a responsibility. I mean, as you're out there reading for these people, you're representing all of us. And so you need to take it seriously. But it's just such a great place to get that new person, on board with the metaphysical or the mystic arts, I should say. So it's a great opportunity. Anyway, then you can get yourself honed and ready for the metaphysical events. So in the last video, I mentioned a 2.5-minute video, a pictorial video set to music. It's called 20 Places to Read Tarot. I'll put it down below. And you might want to look at that because that is mainly non-metaphysical events. And you can find it on my channel, and it'll give you some ideas and examples of where to read. I will say this, the number one aspect that you need to look for in non-metaphysical events is foot traffic. You need to look for it in every event, but no more or less important is in the non-metaphysical events. When people go to a psychic fair, they expect to get a reading, get a Reiki, or chakras cleaned. They expect to buy things that are metaphysical. When you are at a craft show, they're not expecting to see you there. So or at a restaurant or at a CBD oil shop, right? So you really need foot traffic. If you only find that 5% of the people are interested in you and you would like to get 5 readings today, you need 100 people to cross your path in order to get those 5 readings. So foot traffic is going to be everything. If you see like a little cafe or coffee shop that has an outdoor setting, outdoor patio, or even a restaurant with an outdoor patio in the summer, you might want to ask the owner, hey, would you mind if I set up there? It's something to entertain their customers. And all you need is a table, a couple of chairs, and some cards. It's not a big deal. And ask them, because much to your surprise, they may say yes, but you don't know if you don't ask, right? So I've been traveling, as many of you know, the eastern half of the United States lately, and I am running into something new that I haven't seen before. And that is this change in flea market venues. They're calling them markets now. Some of it's flea market, sometimes it's Sunday market or weekend market or the name of whatever, but they're holding them in temperature controlled storage units or not temperature controlled, either way. But they're like big bazaars, and some are really fancy and upscale. Now, there's one here in McAllen, Texas called the Mercado District. It used to be just a big open air building. And what they started doing is they started building these little 10 by 12 and 12 by 12 rows and rows of little shops. They drywalled, put in a big picture window and a real door and lighting, and then they rent them out. And you can literally own a little micro shop, and then they have a huge food court that goes with it, but they've been adding row after row after row of these. And they're these cute little, they put this little sign out for you at the top. It's just adorable. And I love that place, but they're open like, I want to say like 11 to 11, 6 days a week. And they expect you there 3/4 of the time, or they fine you for not having your shop open at least 3/4 of the time. Now, at $680 a month, I think that you could, and that includes all your electric and security and everything. But I would think that, I'm retired. There's no way I'm going to spend I'm not going to spend 60 hours a week there. No way. But there is a shop in Chattanooga, Tennessee that's way less fancy, but it's still a temperature controlled storage unit where the owners took the back half of the unit that have the smaller, the smaller garages, right? And it's rows of garage door after garage door with all these little units. And they rent these spaces for $265 a week. And they're only open on Saturday and Sunday. And you can rent a spot, set up all of your stuff, close the garage door and throw a padlock on it at the end of the day. And you don't have to ever move anything. And then you only have to read on the weekends. And it's really amazing. The place was packed when I was there. And in fact, I spent a bundle on crystals there, and I saved her card because the overhead was so much cheaper, she said, than the shop that she rented before, that she could give a better price. So her prices were unbelievable. All right. So for craft shows in particular, not only are they good for off season, but there's normally no competition. They will typically only allow one of each vendor. So if you're a direct vendor, like Tupperware, doTERRA, essential oils. Who else I've got in here? Tastefully Simple, Street Color Nails, that kind of stuff. They only allow one, but they also only allow one tarot reader. Now, so far, I've never run into another tarot reader wanting to do a craft show that I've done. And so that's not been a problem. But how wonderful for us, right? That we're the only tarot reader in the room. But if somebody were to encroach on my event, then you noticed in my name, it is I'm Devine Central, Tarot, Lenormand, and beyond. So if that were to happen, and I got turned down, I would just simply reapply as a Lenormand reader, and I'd be able to get in, no problem. Or a crystal reader, no problem, right? So that's how you get around that. Again, like I said, it's never been a problem. So I don't have to worry about that. In order to find craft shows, flea markets, pop-up markets, all you got to do is go on Facebook, or in regions like where I am, Instagram is huge. And you just type it in the search engine. Type in craft shows near me, or craft shows in Ohio, or Western Ohio, or whatever. Facebook will give you an interesting metric. They give interested in attending. And you might see 64 people have clicked on that button. Oh, they're not committing to going, they're interested in attending. I look for a minimum of 4 figures. I want to know at least 1,000 people have clicked on that. That tells me it is probably going to be a very well attended. Then there are the annual events or city festivals, like Hopkins, Minnesota has the Hopkins Raspberry Festival. There were 6.5 blocks of solid tents, 1-day event. Well, the market fair was a 1-day event. There were, I don't know, there had to have been 400 vendors, 18,000 people attending. We set up the big tent, and I had my friend Dee work it with me. We did well over $1,000 that day. And we had 2 lines going. It was wonderful. But almost every city has some little event. Some big cities have several. But you can go to the Chamber of Commerce and look for events that they have, annual city events, festivals that they have. or you can say festivals in, ABC city, and it'll come up, and then you can go from there to the Chamber of Commerce and try to get the details and find out who's in charge of it and call them up, and then you can question them and try to get a contract and see what they have to offer. Well, I had a friend that used to read at a yoga shop, and he was there like every Tuesday and Thursday night, and he actually developed quite a following because people would come and go, for their lessons. So he found that the traffic there was suitable for him. I also walked into the mall one day and went to one of my favorite shops and said, "Hey, is there any way that you could, clear just a small space for me with a little table and two chairs that I could do readings in your store?" And much to my shock and awe, he said, "Absolutely." So you don't know unless you ask. You'd be surprised some of the places that, you can actually go to. CBD oil shops, or shop owners, let's put it this way, are not used to being asked about this because so many of them are new and they're everywhere. And I think that if you go in there, you'll notice that they tend to sell metaphysical products. They sell, on top of the oils, they sell essential oils, they sell crystals and sage and other things that make them the perfect shop. You could go in and suggest a Tarot Tuesdays for their clients, where the clients could come in and, get readings and buy products. There's no reason why a shop owner wouldn't like that. Wine bars and upscale restaurants are nice too. I like them best because there's few children. Somebody that comes in with a family with three little kids are not going to pop for a reading, I wouldn't think. Most of it is going to be business people right after work, or possibly, somebody on a date will underpress their date by buying them a reading. But, even in the nicest restaurants, nobody likes to wait around for a table. And so you're a great distraction out in the lobby if the business owner will allow that, if there's room in their lobby for you and all of your patrons waiting. So it's just, it's an idea. And also for what I call shop reading, you have to walk into these businesses and you have to market yourself. I am going to be putting out a video after this series about that. I have a letter to an art festival that I thought was great about, they don't call it the art of divination for nothing. And it gave all the reasons why they should allow us to be there. And a letter to a high-end restaurant owner. So I'll share some of that stuff that I have with you as well later on. Now, let's talk about finding these events, craft shows, farmers markets, street festivals. I use festivalnet.com. I'll put it down below. And what I like about FestivalNet the best is my go-to. They give you the name of the festival, they give you the city, but they don't give you the contact information for the event planner. So, if you have the name of the festival and you have the city it's in, you can just Google it, and it comes up. I like the fact that they tell you how many vendors they have. They'll tell you how many regular vendors and then how many food vendors that they have. They will tell you whether or not it's juried. That means, for those of you who haven't heard that, you are either interviewed and or a committee decides whether or not you fit the bill for what they want at their festival. And they will give you the attendance, the average attendance of, let's say, the last festival. And they will give you, again, the number of vendors. Let me tell you about juried for a minute. I forgot about an event in Iowa. It's an annual event in Des Moines every year, a metaphysical event. And I was warned early on, don't apply to be a vendor at that event unless you're confident in your reading ability, because they jury. And I learned that they don't just jury. They have like 3 different people on their committee that contact you and expect you to give them a reading. And then they discuss it and decide whether or not they want you at their event. If you do not pass this year for whatever reason, you're, maybe too new, or maybe they just have too many, you're out. You do not get another chance to, if you're turned down, you don't get another chance to ever be at their event. Now, I did not apply early on because I wanted to make sure I was seasoned enough to win favor. But then after I was seasoned enough, I kind of didn't like that and decided not to do it because I didn't need to. So whatever. All right. The next video that I'm going to tackle, we're going to start addressing outfitting your booth and your tent. And so stay tuned.